Hello, hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Casey Bennett, Dr. Casey Bennett. I want to welcome all you guys to the DSKUS program, the Data Science Global Exchange program that we're doing between DePaul University and Indiana University in the United States and with Hanyang University here in Korea. So this video is just going to be kind of an introductory video. All of you guys are getting course credit for this, so we have to do the normal kind of introduce the syllabus, the schedule, kind of normal stuff we do for a course as part of, kind of university requirements. So we're going to do all that stuff today and kind of introduce what we're going to do in the course. First off, I'd just like to say we're all on behalf of myself and all the faculty mentors, we're very excited to have you guys along for this. This is, to our understanding, the first time that this has been done anywhere in the world. This kind of global data science thing where we bring people together from lots of different countries to solve pressing global issues by using data science tools. This is the first time it's been done. It's the first time the US government, at least, has funded something for it. So we're very, very excited about this. The US government's excited about this. The US Embassy here in Korea is excited about this. And all the faculty mentors are really, really excited as well. And we're hoping that you guys are also excited. And we're hoping that it's going to be a really unique experience for you guys outside of your normal sort of classwork, right? It's definitely something that's unusual, right? And hopefully something that's beneficial for you guys. So today we're going to talk about the course structure and how everything's going to work. And I'll introduce myself a little bit. We will record these videos not every week, but maybe about 2/3 of the weeks. I'll record a short video like this, just explaining what you're supposed to do that week, right? And I will try to keep them to like 30 minutes or less because I know people are busy. And then the rest of the time, you're going to be expected to be meeting with your groups, meeting with your mentors. Occasionally, once a month, we may have a big all-class meeting where we get together. And of course, there'll be some times later in a couple months where we'll actually travel to the US and we'll travel to Korea, and hopefully I'll be in the same physical location, and you guys will get to interact with a bunch of pretty big name companies, right? So that's the kind of goal to do it. So I think it should be pretty exciting. And I'll just kind of talk more about it as we move along, but hopefully you guys are excited too. Anyway, so with all that said, like I mentioned, I'll introduce myself briefly first. Some of you guys may know me already. My name is Dr. Casey Bennett. Right now, I'm in Seoul, Korea, but I also own a house in Chicago, on the north side of Chicago. And I did my PhD at Indiana University. So I am kind of connected to all these universities. I also taught at DePaul. I taught data science there for a few years while I was kind of still working in industry and the startup scene in Chicago. And I did my PhD at IU. I still work and publish research papers with people at Indiana University. I was just in Bloomington. I was back in the United States during winter break, and I was just down in Bloomington maybe like a month ago. So I know people at all these places. So I'm kind of strangely connected. But outside of just kind of working with these various universities, I also have been a data scientist for about 20 years, a practicing data scientist. Long before that was actually a word, right back 10 years ago when I was trying to convince people to implement neural networks in their database EHR systems. 2007, 2008, people just thought I was crazy. Of course, things have changed quite a bit, but I've worked for some of the largest healthcare companies in the world over the past 20 years doing data science, right? Long before it was really a term. So I kind of have feet in both worlds. I've been in industry, I've been in the startup world, I've been in academia. And nowadays I teach here at Hanyang University here in Seoul, Korea, where we started up a new data science program a few years ago. And so, I teach things like data science and machine learning and human robot interaction, those kind of things. My specialty is artificial intelligence and robotics in healthcare. That's what I kind of specialize in. A lot of human robot interaction, building Internet of Things type devices and putting them into people's homes to try to track things about people's daily activities and people's health status, those kinds of things. But beyond that, that's me, and I'll just leave it there. You guys will get to see me periodically throughout the semester. Like I say, I'll be recording these videos, and then I'll also be organizing a lot of company workshops with companies like Hyundai and Samsung and Coupang, and the companies that we are in the middle of lining up in the Chicago area as well. So originally, if you guys are curious, I am American, and I'm originally from a small town in Kentucky. I could tell you what the name of it is, but you wouldn't know, you would never have heard of it. So it's kind of pointless, but obviously come a long way since then, but my beginnings are very, very humble. And so just, that's where I'm from. So yeah, so that's that. So I'm going to go through the syllabus first, and not in detail. It's posted on the LMS site, but I'm going to go through it and that did not work. I'm going to go through it and figure out how to make Zoom work. I'm a computer scientist. I have a PhD in computer science, but technology escapes me for some reason. All right, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go through the syllabus first. So, and not in detail, but I'll just kind of walk through it. So, what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna have this weekly thing, and technically we don't really start till next week. But what I'm gonna do is record these videos kind of the week before and release them probably on like a Thursday. I don't know, maybe a Friday, I don't know, probably before the weekend ahead of time, because I know a lot of you guys, I taught at DePaul, I know a lot of you guys actually work or have part-time jobs, and so sometimes it's easier to do things over the weekend, and so that'll make it a little bit more flexible. For some of you who want to do it during the week, you can, but if you want to go ahead and get it done the weekend before the next week, you can go ahead and watch the video, and then you can just kind of work on the project during the week with your groups, right? So there is going to be these videos. Some weeks there will be no video because we're going to have some guest lectures from people who specialize in international policy. They're going to come talk to you guys about going from data analysis to an actual policy, which is tricky. And we'll also have some weeks where you guys do some workshops with companies when you're traveling. And we may also have, not confirmed, but we also may have a US diplomat come talk to you guys because of course this is through the embassy here. So, but a lot of weeks there will be a recorded video. And outside of that, you'll be expected to meet with your groups. There are things that need to be turned in, and those can be everything in the class is going to run through this Moodle website that you guys have all joined, and it's just an LMS, just like here at Hanyang we use our sort of customized version of Canvas, and I think IU still uses Canvas and DePaul uses D2L. Well, this is an LMS like those, except this is an open source LMS. And so we're going to be using this because all of us from all the universities can access it. But you'll see that there'll be things posted under each week. And there'll be things posted, and I need to change some of these dates. But there'll be things posted under each of these weeks for what, if there's videos to watch or Zoom sessions to join, or also if there's things to turn in, this is where you'll turn in your group assignments. And all of you guys have been assigned to groups in the LMS. So you should be able just to submit things as a group up here. Let's see if I do this. So yeah, you should all be all assigned to groups now. So you should be able to come up here to this website, this LMS site, and find everything you need. The course syllabus, the projects, everything is up here. All the assignments are up here. Any sort of announcements will be posted up here so that you can see them if there are things that are important. You may want to turn your notifications on for some of this stuff, because I may just send out announcements on here. I don't know if I'll message people via email, maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided. But the LMS, this Moodle site, is basically our home for this semester where everything happens. So kind of keep that in mind. So outside of that, the syllabus, you can look through it. There's a course description, the course learning goals. We'll talk about this later. There are going to be things that you need to submit. So one of the things is that this is kind of a program where you guys get a scholarship and get to travel, but it's also a class, and you're going to get course credit. And we're also going to present your final proposals to the mentors ourselves, and then hopefully to U.S. government officials. So it's actually really important that you guys do a good job so that we all look good, right? Because we want them to be like, wow, these kids, these students, these universities, they really knocked it out of the park, and we should do this again so that future classes, future groups of students can participate in this, because we're hoping to make it an annual event. So it's kind of on your shoulders to kind of to do a good job, because we're kind of counting on you guys to really show off to the U.S. government that data science can actually be used to solve these kinds of problems. And this is an opportunity for us, but it's also a responsibility. We want to show them that we can use data science to actually solve these global issues and come up with policies that can actually be put into effect, right? And then it'll be beneficial for all of us, right? And I think that'll be really great, and also future students as well. But there are assignments, there's a weighting scheme, things will be graded. This is a graduate class, so it's not going to be graded too harshly, but we do have standards, and we do expect you guys to put forth your best effort, because we want to make sure at the end of the semester that we have a really nice proposal to show people, right? You can read through the descriptions here of the various things. I will say when we get into each of these topics, like the first one, or each of these assignments, the first one will be this bibliography. I will talk about it during that recorded lecture for that week. So you'll hear me give you some more details, but you can kind of get a sense of what each one's going to require now by looking at the syllabus, right? As far as analysis software, this is the only thing else I'll say about this is you can use whatever you want. Some people like to use Python. I prefer to use Python. There's some people who want to use R. Some people like to use Scikit. Some people like to use Spark. Some people like to use, I don't know, SPSS, whatever it is, right? MATLAB, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And you're actually welcome to use multiple tools. If you have different people, different members of your group with different skills, then you're more than welcome to use multiple goals, or to use multiple tools. So I'll leave that up to the groups to decide how you want to deal with that, but you can kind of think about it later. But this is the grading scheme. We will be kind of keeping track. I can see who watches the videos, so we'll be keeping track of attendance. And then we'll ask you at the end of the semester to submit like a short report on who contributed what to the final project, right? So you'll be asked to kind of basically describe each group member's contribution to the final project, right? So that is the syllabus. And then, okay. See what I got off the screen here. That's not it. Okay. And then the next thing to look at is the course schedule. So you'll notice on the Moodle site that there's kind of a schedule. I mean, we do have week 1, week 2, whatever, but if you kind of want to have a better sense of when things are due and when they're supposed to happen and when certain events are going to happen or whatever, or what the topics are for future weeks, this course schedule is basically your guide to what's going to happen. And so you can kind of see this is laid out in 16 weeks, just like the Moodle site, but you'll notice that we actually have the assignments and what's supposed to actually be done. Some of this has actually already been done, so we already have the group project preferences. Just the various things that are actually supposed to be due each week, and then the topics we'll be talking about during that week, right? So there'll be some weeks where we'll be talking about parts of the project, and some weeks where we'll do things like we'll stop and have a global policy seminar. We'll have a guest lecture from somebody who actually does international policy research, or maybe a diplomat will come and talk to you guys. We will also have weeks where we stop and do like progress updates. We will have weeks where there's travel, where you guys, some of you guys will go, either Korean students will go to Chicago for a week, or the American students will come to Korea for a week, and then we'll do a bunch of workshops with a bunch of companies, where they'll come here and talk to you, or we may send you to them for the day, right? So like Coupang, we're going to send you guys to Coupang, and you can hang out at their R&D lab, right? If you don't know what Coupang is like the Korean Amazon. So and it's actually in the United States now as well, but different conversation. I was going to say something that I forgot. And then we'll have the final presentations at the end. We hope to get the officials from the U.S. State Department to watch those as well. What else was I going to say? Completely escaping my mind here. What was it? Oh yeah, now I know what it was. All right. So a lot of this, you guys may be wondering, I've taught data science for a long time, and the way the course schedule is laid out is based on what I have learned from being a practicing data scientist. So this course is very much an applied hands-on course. So you'll see that a lot of the course is structured where we're going to spend the first month basically doing a bunch of background research and learning about the problem. The second month is basically a bunch of exploratory data analysis, a bunch of brainstorming. And then the third month, May, we basically put it all together and we come up with our final proposal, and then we present it to the US government in June, right? So this is all based on what I learned as a practicing data scientist. One thing that I see a lot in data science is, people who are not trained properly, they just jump in, right? They get a problem from the boss, they get a problem that they need to solve, and they just start trying to analyze some data without fully understanding what they're actually doing, right? And as a data scientist, when I was doing it, one thing that I learned that was really important was you kind of have to develop an expertise, maybe not an expertise, but a certain level of expertise in order to understand the problem you're working on, so you can make sure you're asking the right questions and that you actually get the correct data to answer those questions. A lot of the mistakes I see in data science, a lot of the failures that come about in the practice of data science come from people starting off incorrectly. They don't do the background research. They don't fully understand the problem. They're not working with the correct data. So you're going to see in this class, we're going to structure it in the way that, at least in my opinion, data science should actually happen, which is let's make sure we fully understand the problem before we start trying to solve it, right? And so you guys are going to basically spend the first month becoming experts on whatever project you've been assigned to. And in the second month, you're going to have started to kind of identify some data sources, and you're going to start working with them, just exploring, brainstorming. What are all the possible solutions we could come up with? And then the third month in May, you're going to try to put that together. You're going to try to execute the game plan, right? And this very much, in my experience, makes for effective data science. And so you're going to see this is the way the course is set up, the way it's structured. We're going to follow this process, right? So in case you guys are wondering why we have these different stages, you guys are going to follow a process that at least I have seen work in the real world with data science projects. So that is the course schedule. You guys can look through it on your own. The next thing is readings. So there are no readings in the course. except one. So this very first week, you guys are going to need to go read this course primer. It should become available here. I may change this to Thursday. I don't know. It will come available later this week, and you need to read it. So basically, it's a description of the course and what the course is, kind of the philosophy behind the course. Yeah, the idea is that this course is set up as a project-based learning course. So we kind of describe what project-based learning is, and there's also some web links to that, or in that kind of give some examples of how you can use project-based learning in data science. So it shouldn't take you too long. You probably read all of it and the web links in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But you'll kind of understand why we're doing what we're doing, why the course is structured the way it is. So it'd be really good if you guys all read that, and so you're actually expected to read it. So before the end of next week, everybody needs to read this course primer. That is the only assigned reading in the course. Now you'll probably have to read other stuff as part of your project, but this is the only assigned reading. So this, over the next week and a half, you guys need to go find that. It's on, like I mentioned, it's on the Moodle website under week 1. And it'll kind of give you an understanding of what we're doing and why we're structuring things the way we are. You guys can see some of these things in the syllabus, but in general, there are a number of course goals here that we're trying to accomplish that hopefully go beyond what you guys are learning in your normal classes. One of those is we wanted to show you guys how data science can work on a global scale, right? Within a country, within a system, data science works a certain way, but there are certain issues that come up when we're working across a global scale, like when we're working across global teams, right? How do we deal with the boundaries that come up? Cultural boundaries, linguistic boundaries, political boundaries, all these kind of boundaries that cause challenges for the effectiveness of what we do, right? It's one thing to kind of, do a data science project for a business and you're trying to sell more products in a certain country, and it's kind of all nice and neat and contained. But what you guys are going to see is across international borders, the rules are different, right? I'll give you an example. The rules for banking in Korea are completely different than the rules in the United States. In fact, it takes a little bit to figure it out, right? And you gotta, there's all these extra processes just to do extra online banking. And they're just completely different from what you would experience in the United States. So that's one example, but what happens is because of these differences, it really, really affects and kind of changes the way we kind of produce our solutions. If a solution is going to work across different contexts, then that solution needs to be adaptable to those different contexts, right? It needs to be adaptive, right? And so the problem with a lot of people is they don't really consider the necessity of adaptation. And that's something we're going to have to think about in this course. Beyond just simply the adaptation, though, you're also going to get to experience what it's like to work on international teams. So we have very different perspectives on different types of problems. We have very different perspectives on different types of solutions, and being able to work across those boundaries is a skill. It's something you can learn. It's something you can get better at, and that's something we want to do in this course. In the interest of time, I'll speed up a little bit. Beyond that, you're also, one thing here is we're also kind of contributing to the promotion of modern democratic ideals. Part of this is, is the notion that data science shouldn't just be used to sell more products or, make somebody's manufacturing process more efficient. You can do that, and it's certainly worthwhile, but we should also care about the greater scope of the world, right? And data science has the potential to really benefit the world in different ways by promoting certain kinds of values, by promoting freedoms for people, by trying to make the world a better place, basically. And so one of the ideas behind this entire program is to bring together really smart people from various democratic countries, the US and some of its allies, and try to work together to try to make the world a better place through data science. And I think that's a very, very worthy goal. That said, there will also be tangible opportunities in the project for you guys. You guys are going to interact directly with some of the leading companies. You're going to be interacting with some of their engineers. You're going to be talking and meeting with some of their talent acquisition folks in both the United States and Korea. And so there's going to be a practical benefit as well as the sort of amorphous, let's all save the world superhero kind of thing, right? Now, in terms of course expectations, I'll just cover this briefly here in a few minutes. Like I mentioned, each week you're gonna be working in teams of 4, and you're gonna be assigned a faculty mentor. And each week you're gonna be expected to watch the pre-recorded lecture video, which this is week 1 right here. Some weeks there will not be one. You'll be expected to meet with your teams and your mentor. You can pick your own time. So each group, you can send out a doodle poll and just, that's something you actually need to do over the next week. Find the time to start meeting with your groups, and you can start kind of officially meeting in 2 weeks after we do the all class meeting at the end of next week. And then during the project, during the week, you should continue to communicate. So the Zoom meeting might only last 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If you guys have ever been part of, an agile team, it's basically like your daily stand-up, or your weekly stand-up. And, outside of that, you guys should still communicate, via email or also Slack, Discord, those types of tools, so that you guys are in constant communication. You should take advantage of these tools. Like I mentioned, one of the things we want to get out of this is learn how to do this on a global scale. Well, you're gonna have to figure out how to communicate with people who are not in the same physical location and not, maybe not even speak the same language as you. And so part of that is going to be using some of these tools like Zoom and Slack to do that. So every week you're going to need to watch the recorded lecture, and you're going to need to meet with your teams and your mentor to discuss who's doing what. And then you need to kind of continue to communicate during the week about as you're kind of working and progressing on things. And I'll leave it up to each group to kind of decide exactly how they want to go about doing that. But this is the sort of expectations. Along with that, I should mention before I move on that you guys have all been assigned to groups, and this has been posted to the LMS. This is based on your group, your project preferences. We were able to get 80% of you your first or second choice. to the 3 or 4 of you that we couldn't, I apologize, but just logistically, this was the organization that made the most sense. And so this is what we're going to go, pending any unexpected events. And each group has been assigned a mentor, and each group has been assigned a project and a project team. And every group has 2 US students and 2 Korean students on there. You can find up on the LMS, there's also the project list. And, we'll talk more about these in the future. But what I want you guys to kind of keep in mind, starting with all this, is to keep an open mind on all this, right? These are not, each one of these problems, actually, there's a number of sub-problems that you can break out. And that's going to be part of your task here, right? So take the first one, right? You might say, well, climate change and, expanding renewable energy. That's a very straightforward problem, but is it, right? There are many sub-problems, right? You might want to explore carbon markets, right? And then how would you implement a carbon market, right? You might want to explore, sort of the economic impacts of switching to renewable energy sources, right? You may want to explore the disruptions from ending, sort of reliance on natural gas or coal that's going to cause economic impacts. And those impacts are going to affect certain countries more than other countries, right? If we create a carbon market, should it be weighted the same way? Should more developed countries bear a greater burden than less developed countries? Or does it not make sense? Should all countries bear the same burden? These are all different questions you can explore. It's not so simple, right? It's not so simple, right? If we start accelerating a transition toward electric and hydrogen powered vehicles, right? What is that actually going to mean? How is that going to impact how's that actually going to impact existing supply chains and existing sort of economic situations, right? There are some countries that are extremely dependent on oil and selling oil, and suddenly switching to a different mechanism of energy production is going to be very, very disruptive and could create major economic shockwaves, right? So you got to think about, you can kind of break each of these problems into lots of different sub problems, right? It's not so simple. In all of these, it's the same way. Number 2, number 4, number 3, number 5. You can start to look at kind of the first thing you're going to want to do, and we'll talk about when we talk about the background research and bibliography here in a couple weeks, is you're going to want to break this up, right? And think about all the different components of the problem. And then you can start doing background research on that. And those may become different analyses you need to do. They may become different parts of your proposal. So just kind of keep an open mind on all this. The scope is not limited. You're free to explore whatever paths you want to. And I would encourage you guys to think creatively, right? about these things as broadly as possible, right? So, yeah, so you guys have all been set up there. Outside of the weekly group meetings, we will have these monthly all-class meetings. Right now, they're set for March 11th, April 8th, May 6th, and June 10th. We may end up changing these dates. We're not sure. March 11th will definitely happen, so we're going to do this next week on Friday morning. Keep in mind the time difference. So this is actually, if I say March 11th, I'm talking about Korea time. I actually mean March 10th, Thursday evening, and that will actually be 8 p.m. in Indiana and 7 p.m. in Chicago. We also don't do daylight savings time in Korea, so when you guys switch, our time will actually go back an hour, but whatever. We'll also use this last day. This very likely, this June 10th will be the final presentation day. So keep that in mind. Like I said, these middle 2 dates might get changed, but maybe not. But this is what we're planning on now. If we change it, I'll let you know ASAP. But just kind of keep this in mind. And next week on March 11th, we will have the first one, March 11th at I think it's 10 a.m. in Korea, and it'll be 8 p.m. in Indiana and 7 p.m. the Thursday before that, Thursday, March 10th in the United States, right? As I mentioned, we'll have these global policy seminars that will replace the graded lecture. And one thing that we want you guys to learn about this from this course is how do you go from data analysis to actually a policy that can be implemented, right? Because that's not so simple. It's not so easy. And so this is something, even the mentors were talking about this, like, we don't even know a lot about that, right? Even though all of us are actually professors who teach data science at these major universities. So we're going to bring some people in to kind of talk to you guys about how do you go from data analysis, from data and data analysis to an actual policy that you could actually implement. So I think that'll be a really interesting experience for you guys. And we'll do those at that same Friday morning time slot, like 9 a.m. probably, which would be after the daylight savings time. But for those, probably if you can't attend live, you could just watch them later. But if you do attend live, you could, of course, ask questions and other things to the guest lecturer, they will be faculty from the universities, from like the international studies departments. And we'll also we're hoping to organize, still waiting to get confirmation, you guys an opportunity to interact with some U.S. embassy officials as well. All of this stuff is, you don't need to do all this. All this stuff here, don't worry about it. You basically already did it. We've already assigned you to groups. I would say go look at this, the group assignments, and I've emailed all you guys. Go figure out what group you're in. The emails are there, and introduce yourselves, right? Reach out to each other. You're going to be getting to know each other and talking. We will do a sort of introduction where we get everybody together next week on Friday, March 11th, and we'll do some icebreaker stuff and kind of get everybody talking so that you guys get a chance to meet everybody in class, not just your group. but you know, feel free to go ahead and reach out. I would say that this week for next class, so basically between now and next Friday, because I'm recording this a little early, so between now and March 11th, what you guys need to do is you need to read the course primer. So that's posted on the LMS site, like I mentioned, and under week 1, right? So this is the one reading we'll have for the course. And then you guys need to plan to attend the all-class meeting, which will be on March 11th or March 10th if you're in the United States. In the evening, it'll be March 11th in the morning here in Korea. There is a Zoom link posted to the LMS right here. So if you click on this, no, wait, that's one, sorry. It's right here. So there's a Zoom link right here, and you guys can find the information for week 2. I guess it's technically week 1, whatever. Maybe I should move this backwards to this week. Actually, you know what, I will. This should be here. Okay, I'm going to move this to week 1. Anyway, point being, there's a Zoom link for this all-class meeting that's going to happen on March 11th, Seoul time. So you guys need to plan on attending that. And then the last thing you need to do between now and March 11th, next week, is you need to find out your group, and you guys should probably start to communicate, maybe make a doodle poll, and try to figure out when are you guys going to do these weekly meetings, right? We're not going to start these until after the 11th, but like what day are we going to meet? What time are we going to meet on Zoom? Be aware of the time differences. Usually the evenings in the United States and the mornings in Korea are the easiest. But if some of the Korean students don't mind staying up till 10, 11 at night, midnight even, then you could do them in the morning in the United States and in the evening in Korea. So you'll just need to see when people are available, but you need to start figuring this out. Again, we're kind of expecting you guys to take this on yourselves. All right, so I'm already over time. So I'm going to end this session now. If there's anything I did not explain and you don't understand, you can feel free to reach out and let me know via email. I'm not going to be mentoring any of the teams, but I'm basically in charge of things. So if there's an issue that's kind of class related, not necessarily group related, just email me, right? And I'll respond and let you guys know, you know, like what you need to do. All right, there's something that's confusing. But with all that said, I'll just kind of wrap this up. Like I mentioned before, we're excited to have you guys along and really looking forward to this program. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys all in Korea and vice versa. I think all the American universities are excited for the Koreans to come to Chicago. Kind of finally in this kind of as Corona starts to recede, we are hopefully transitioning back to a somewhat normal life. So anyway, but like I mentioned, I hope you guys got some information out of this, and I look forward to working with all you guys this semester. So I hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you guys next week on Friday, March 11th or Thursday, March 10th in the US, and we'll get together on Zoom and we'll do an introduction for everybody. You guys have a chance to introduce yourselves to each other, and some of the mentors will be there. And we'll kind of just chat, hang out, and just maybe have fun for like an hour, I guess, and do some icebreaker stuff and kind of kick things off. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a nice week and a fun time. And 안녕하세요, 수고하세요. So I'll talk to you guys next time. 다음에 봐요.